everyone. Once
Hello,
again,
children.
Yes, it is the Crooke and Candle podcast. We've been away, and I'm sure
Yeah, we've been gone for a
a
while.
lot of you. Has it almost been a month?
I think so.
Yeah.
That was not intentional. Like, just shit's just been going on. That's kept us from being able to do the podcast regularly. So, in fact, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that happened while we were away. Because
Yeah.
you don't know what happened.
Yeah, it wasn't like we just didn't want to do it. There was quite a bit of stuff going on, which some of it's very exciting. Some of it was a little scary because you got COVID.
Yeah, I did. But let's get to that in a second. Let's just kind of start from the beginning. So, how was your week?
Exhausting.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Exhausting. Yeah, been working hard. Again, we're producing a film, which we're going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences I had with that. And but otherwise, it's been really, really good. God, when we did the last one, I think I mentioned I'd started seeing.
Yeah,
Chelsea.
You've been seeing.
Chelsea.
You've been dating.
Yeah, and so that's been going good.
Are you like a thing officially or?
Yeah, we're
okay.
a thing officially.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, the thing about that was, she was a client, a tattoo client,
Right.
which I've been doing this for 20 years. I have always had this kind of firm policy not to date.
Yeah, conflict of interest.
Yeah, and
kind
you
of
just
stuff.
don't want it to get weird.
Well, it's just the
You
idea
know.
of like don't shit where you eat, right?
Exactly. So I don't, even if I'm really vibing with someone, I don't want to ask them out, just because I don't want it to be weird, and I'd rather not date, see someone a couple times and then be like, nah, this ain't it. And then all of a sudden someone's feelings are hurt and you lose a client, and you might have someone actually being like, yeah, that motherfucker,
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that, so I don't do it. But twice in my career, I have dated someone, and this is the most recent one. But both of those times, it was they asked me out, and so I felt like, okay, I didn't break my rule, and so between, it's spring is pretty much here, the sun's shining in Seattle.
Well, spring's almost over, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
June
well
is
yeah,
next
yeah.
month.
We're gonna be getting into summer shortly.
Yeah. Although it's kind of funny, it's like spring's almost over, but I've been having some allergy attacks.
Yeah.
Just on the end of the month of May,
Yeah.
which I don't know what the fuck that's about. Like, you think that would have happened sooner, but for some reason it didn't. But
Yeah.
whatever, I'm not complaining. Just took some Benadryl.
Yeah. So yeah, between just in Seattle, and you can speak on this because you have a new job and
Yeah.
but when it's rainy, people still go out, but it's not at the level that it is when it's sunny.
Yeah.
No,
No, it's way different when it's sunnier. 'Cause
Yeah,
when it's gray. Sorry if I'm cutting you off.
yeah.
When it's like gray and shit, and you go to a place that's usually busy, like people are more likely to just stay indoors
Yeah. Or order.
or just go inside to get out of the rain.
Yeah.
But most of the time they'll just stay there until the rain just subsides or something
Well,
like that.
due to COVID, like for example, in the service industry with restaurants and stuff, a lot of times people will want to get food from a certain restaurant, but they don't want to go sit in the restaurant. So
Right.
the restaurants themselves were like, well, you can order out.
Yeah.
We'll even run it out to your car. You don't even have to get out. So
Uber Eats.
yeah. So, between tattooing, which has been ramping up, and then being in the middle of a production, which, by the way, it's exhausting filming.
Sure.
There's a lot to it. And, spending some time with my girl. It's just been busy. So it was a good week.
Nice.
But I've been tired.
Yeah, I imagine.
How was your week?
My week was good. So I'll get to the COVID thing in a little bit, but yeah, this week was fine. Actually, I decided. Been finally finished up my new anime haul video that I was working on for the past few months. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy I got that finished. And I know there's people that are looking forward to that. So I'm actually in the middle of editing together a new intro for that. So I need to put some of my anime Blu-rays or DVDs in my PlayStation and then do some capture of some clips and shit just to put together an intro for that. But once that's done, that'll go live like before the month ends. So I'm happy about that. Also, I guess I'll talk about the new job that I have that I got, because I want to say I got this job after the last episode. I'm sorry. I'm not even thinking about it. Why do you have to get me like that,
I'm
man?
just because Dino said it.
Oh, did I do that?
Yeah, Dino's
before?
like, yeah, he's sitting there like itching his wiener.
Fucking asshole. Okay, well, I'll make sure not to do that. God damn, now I'm feeling insecure. No, it's whatever. Yeah, no, the new job I got is really cool. Like the last job, I think I mentioned the other job that I had before, which was
big restaurant.
Yeah, big restaurant. Not gonna say which. That place was fucking just not great. Like the people there were fine, but the actual experience of working there was just so draining and exhausting, and just little shit like they just couldn't keep people at all. Like even when the year started, like I was just working on my own as a dishwasher there, and when I started there, it was a 2-person job because it's a lot of volume. It's a volume restaurant. So when you work at a volume restaurant, you need a lot of people, and you need a lot of reliable people to handle all the amount of shit that needs to be done. But their problem has always been they would hire somebody, they get them in for the first day, or they don't. The dude just fucking doesn't show up for their first day for some reason. They go through the process of being onboarded, and then they just, oh, no, I'm done. I don't need to be here.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it's just like shit like that. That was a constant problem.
Psych.
Yeah, and then like when the sun started coming out more, like that's when it just became just hell. Like when the year started, it was like still winter, so people weren't out as much, so I wasn't dealing with as much. So I could do it by myself, but by the time it started getting sunnier and sunnier, just the volume of people, like it was just hell. It was just hell to deal with. Like, in fact, I think I mentioned this to you. I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I ended up developing a stress injury from the job because I would have to like grip a lot of heavy shit with my hands, and sometimes which was not a good idea, like gripping like a ton of pans in one hand, like shit like that and they're heavy. So like I ended up like waking up with numb hands, stuff like that.
No good.
Which it's gotten better since I stopped working there, and that's how I knew that place was the problem.
Yeah.
Because like it's just not normal to wake up with like numb fucking hands, like, or just I'll be typing on my keyboard and just my hands go numb, and it's like, what the fuck, man, this sucks. So eventually I quit that job, and then I started working at this new job. I'm not going to say the name just because, want to keep that secret. Don't want to give too much information, but the new place is awesome. Like just all the people there. Like the first few days I worked there, like everyone was like, dude, every dishwasher we've had, like, did not work like you. You bust ass. Like, and I'm like, thank you. Like, and I felt really appreciated. Like, dude, I get fucking paid, like I'll have the truck people come in because they do trucks. Like they'll drive around and deliver food and shit like that or something like that. And like I'll have those guys come in like with dishes. Like, hey, can I give you like $10 to wash our dishes? I'm like, fuck yeah, man, extra money. That's cool for me.
Yeah.
And then I've been working full time, so I've been paid way more than I've been paid since. Oh. I'm going to have to mute that, so ignore that. But yeah, so, just it's been good. Like that place has been treating me very well,
Yeah, I
And,
know. You've been way happier.
Yeah.
I've noticed your moods went up, and I think you were there just even like they were saying you kicked ass, and then all of a sudden they're like, I think we're going to give you a raise.
Actually, I'm not sure if I got the raise yet.
Yeah,
but we've been talking about that, and
Yeah.
I think they said once summer hits, I think that's when eventually I'll get paid basically the same amount that I would have been paid from the other job.
Yeah.
And they've been paying me tips and all that shit. So I'm making money. I'm making money again, and I'm not feeling as
And it's full time.
And it's full-time.
Before it wasn't. And
yeah, I was
you were
working
struggling.
Yeah, I was working 3 days a week around the time at the other job when winter hit because they weren't getting as much business. And then I tried to get more days again, and they were just like, in fact, they gave me one day extra, and then
For 1 week.
for 1 week, and then I come back and like my boss is like, oh yeah, remember that Thursday we said we were gonna give you again? Oh no, we're not. We just not make enough money, or something like that. And I'm like, dude, that's bullshit. You get a bunch of people coming in every fucking day. What are you talking about? That made no sense. It made me feel like they were trying to push me out. I have no proof of that, but
Well, it's more like they
just
didn't
don't
really care.
Yeah, they didn't really appreciate what I was doing.
The
In
new
fact,
job they appreciate.
no, yeah, they really like every day I work there, everyone's constantly saying thank you, man, you're kicking ass, all that shit, and they mean it. I can tell they mean it because when I'm not there, like they have to deal with it, and it's a little bit more shit that they have to deal with, and so when I'm being appreciated and it's legitimate appreciation, and then I'm getting the fruits of that labor, it's like it feels good. Now, I guess this is where I'll segue to the COVID story. So now for a few months, because I had a gym membership, which I put on freeze, right? And I want to say this happened, 2 weeks ago or something like that? A week ago, 2 weeks ago. So anyways, my gym membership finally unfroze, and I ended up going to the gym. I went to the gym for the first time in 3 months. And so went to the gym, and the normal thing I like to do is because there's a boxing room where they got a sandbag and a
heavy bag and a speed bag.
Yeah, a speed bag and a heavy bag.
But it's a little room.
It's like a closet, basically.
Yeah.
It's like
there's
small,
there's no fan.
yeah,
or
not
anything.
really any circulation. So I went there. I did what was it? Like mostly upper body shit, triceps, biceps, shoulders, my pecs. But I kept it light because it's been a while since I've been there. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do some like cardio shit in the boxing room. Did the speed bag. Getting back into that because it was a while since I've done that. Then I started to just do some bare knuckle, like almost like Muay Thai shit, like knees and kicks and punches and all that stuff. And it was a good workout, got me sweaty and shit. And then I go home, and then I think I worked that same day, or maybe not. No, it was a Tuesday, so I had the day off. Then Wednesday comes. Now, as you may notice in my hand, I got a vape. I've been vaping instead of smoking cigarettes. I've actually moved away from that. So I was like smoking on this like the whole night, and then having some drinks. And then, Kali, can you stop? She's just laying over there by the door because the tennis ball's in there. And you can't play right now. It's not time for playtime.
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah, you want to come over here? You could be a part of the podcast. Or you could just lay there and complain, whatever. Anyways, ignore her. So I wake up and I notice I'm coughing. And it's like, it felt like I kind of had a sore throat. It was. And at first I attributed it to, maybe I went too hard in the drinks and the vape because I was smoking all day. So I thought maybe I just fucked with my throat or something like that. So I was coughing, but didn't seem amiss at all at that time. But then the day kind of goes by, and then I get to work, and I'm kind of feeling a little lethargic, a little bit, like a little low energy. But again, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought maybe because I also started getting off of coffee and caffeine. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe my body's just getting used to not having caffeine. So so that's what I thought it was. Then over the course of the night, I noticed the coughing gets worse. And then I noticed I'm feeling really like lethargic. Like I'm just not myself. I'm like, oh, I'm hoping it's not. In fact, I was just hoping it was just the flu or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping. And then I come home around, what, 11, 12,
No, it was
1?
I want to say it was almost like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, something like that. So I came home, and actually before I came home, I went to the local Shell nearby, and I thought to get some NyQuil tablets and some Fisherman's Friends, which are basically menthol lozenges.
Yeah.
It's like Halls, basically, but more potent. So I got those. Come home, and you were there. And I immediately just told you, like, hey, just a word of, just FYI, I might have the flu. And you immediately thought you got a mask on, and then you're like, hey, I got a test.
Yeah, I went in Safeway. I went and got 2 COVID tests just to have them.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, take this test just to make sure it's not COVID. And so I take it, and 15 minutes go by. I come in to the bathroom where the test was sitting, and I came back positive.
Yeah.
And I remember when I saw that, I'm like, fuck. I was just so pissed off.
Disappointed!
I was just so fucking mad because I knew that meant I was going to have to miss like a whole week of work, you know? And so I was kind of worried about that. Thankfully, my job comped me sick days, even though I didn't really have any sick days at the time because I was just starting. But they comped me for that, and they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. You're fine. Let's just, get some rest and wait until, you feel better. So
Again, that shows the kind of job.
yeah,
he's
no,
moved
it's
to.
awesome. They
care.
Yeah, they care. They're really dope. So anyways, first 2 days I was out. Like, just, it was fucking horrible. Like, now, basically, to explain what COVID is like, if you've never got it, it's basically like a really bad form of the flu. That's basically what it felt like. Because I've had a really bad form of the flu, like, years ago, and it felt the same. Although, not as bad. I remember the last time I had the flu real bad, like, that was worse. I was just, like, fucking super glued to my bed and taking, like Advil tablets just to not feel pain in my sides and shit. But it was basically the same kind of shit. Achiness, sweats, coughing, phlegm, that kind of shit. And just tiredness, lethargic, feeling. So I was just at home, eating fucking chicken noodle soup and crackers. And
obviously we live together.
So
I was paranoid.
So yeah, I mean, I made sure to wear a mask, and you made sure to wear a mask, and I was mostly quarantined to my room. So, in fact, there was a point where later on in the week you thought you got it.
Well, actually, it was interesting because I'm not a hypochondriac. Or no, is that right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Hypochondriac. So it's not like I'm the type of person that thinks I'm sick all the time. And I'm really healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't get sick really often. But the night that you took that test, I went to bed and I had the worst sleep. I was sweating, so I'm kind of awake. But I'm like, oh my God, do I have a fever? Oh, I got it, And I'm like, yeah, it was kind of like I just got all paranoid. And then the next morning I woke up and I was like, okay, well, that was trippy. But it was just all in my head.
Yeah.
I've really tried to avoid getting it, And I know that, that's why the flu is coming back, actually, because it's been so long that people, they got their vaccination, they got their boost. And so they're not wearing masks like they used to.
Right.
And so the flu has been kind of coming back. As a matter of fact, my first date with Chelsea was supposed to be the week before my birthday in April.
Yeah.
And she called and she's like, yo, I'm feeling a little sick. I got to see if I have the cove. And turned out she didn't, but she just kind of had a little flu.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it really, really tripped me out. And then there was another time during your quarantining where there was a day, same, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on. Is that a throat problem? I don't know, and just a couple little coughs. But I'm like, so I took a COVID test myself and didn't have it, and that set my mind at ease. But
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, I don't know why. Well, I think one, obviously, because I think in America over 1 million people have died of it.
Come here, girl.
But I know that, like, I think it was like 2019. I was in that band.
Oh, yeah.
And we played a little festival. I was living in Seattle, but we played this little festival in Portland called Ceremony of Sludge. And the day I got up to go get on the train to go down to Portland, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I can tell the difference between I got a cold and the flu.
Yeah.
And I got the flu bad. I mean, really bad.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks of coughing and chest congestion. So when the whole COVID thing came, I was like, I wonder if it's been here earlier. Because, I mean, literally, I hadn't been that sick. I can't, in years and years and years and years and years, So it was something else. But, I haven't wanted to catch it.
Well, nobody does.
Yeah,
Like, unless you're one of those crazy people that I don't
Let
know.
me self-expose.
Yeah.
But but you survived it.
Yeah, I
which I'm
kicked COVID's ass.
Thankful for that.
I should get a shirt
Yeah.
that says I kicked COVID's ass. I think there is a shirt that exists of that.
So yeah, that was amazing.
But yeah, really, since I caught COVID, I've still kind of had some like phlegminess, like some lingering issues, but it's not anything crazy. In fact, since then, I ended up testing 2 more times, and since the last time I tested, I came back negative. So, I'm not contagious anymore, thankfully. But yeah, I'm doing good now. So that's, I'm going back to work again and all that stuff.
Collie, come here. Come here.
Collie's being problematic on
Come
the
here.
podcast. Collie.
She wants the ball.
Come on, get up. Come here.
Are you gonna come over here and lay with me?
Yeah, go live.
Come on.
Go live with.
Come on. She doesn't want to.
She's just being a problem child.
Like always.
Yeah.
Nothing new here.
Collie.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, just ignore the girl. It's okay, girl. All right.
So I'm gonna tell my little story about the film that we're working.
Yeah, because you've been now we've mentioned this on the podcast before. In fact, the one we did with August, we talked about that.
Yeah.
But now it's actually been happening.
In production.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's been really fun. Initially, a lot of the people that are part of the crew don't really have any experience
Right.
on, producing films. I mean, the most of their experience is like making TikTok videos or something like that. And everyone,
Fucking Zoomers.
yeah, everyone on the shoot is, I think the youngest person's 19, it's Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the main actors, Peyton, he's 20.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there might be 1 or 2 people that might be over 25. This guy, John, he's the assistant director, and one of the other principal actors, Pearl. I think she's probably 25. She's an Asian girl, Japanese, so she looks younger.
Yeah.
But just kind of the way she is, I'm like, yeah, I think she's a little older. But it's a bunch of young people, and it's funny because initially I was just going to produce it. I was just going to bring the gear, help wrangle the people if they needed to be wrangled. And the camera operator, Clayton Green is his name, good young guy. He had said when we were doing auditions,
Yeah.
I kind of asked him about his, taking photos and stuff. And he had a camera that's like a film camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, how'd you get into film? He's like, yeah, I've been doing it for about 4 months. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was supposed to be the cinematographer as well. And I was like, okay, he doesn't have any experience with that. But I tried to accommodate it and see what he would do. And then we had like I think it was 18th of May. We had people come on. No, 18th of April. We had a bunch of people come over, and I walked Clayton through the camera system, and talking about the lenses, and we shoot on micro four thirds. Which is, again, there's a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I could sit there and speak about it, but it's just gonna fly over your head. But there's a lot to actually shooting cinema, and so at a certain point, I was like, he's gonna have enough on his plate to deal with. Just dealing with it. You want to go get the ball? Just go get the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a lot to deal with just in using, here, come through this way.
I will.
Using the camera and using the setup. And, I ended up buying a gimbal, a Zhiyun Crane 3S, and it's a heavy duty gimbal for cinema cameras. And so there was a lot to it that he was going to have to learn. So, and he's kind of a quiet person. So, the cinematographer and the director really got to work hand in hand. And so at a certain point, I said, look, I'm going to do the cinematography. I told August, I'm like, he's got enough on his plate just dealing with catching the scenes correctly. And, he's got no experience. It would be like, this is an actual, even though it's unpaid, this is an actual serious
it's a
production.
Like there's NDAs and shit.
Yeah, it's very professional.
These forms.
Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, it would be like we're doing this super this super professional production, and we get the person to edit it that has pretty much I've been editing for 4 months, and it's like, no, you need someone who actually really knows what they're doing and has experience with it. And although I'd never really done cinematographer kind of duties, once I started the production company and we were during COVID, I spent a bunch of money on classes and to educate myself on how to really do the cinematography job. And on top of that, just with tattooing, because the cinematographer's job is to help bring the director's vision to life. And although it's different as a tattoo artist, you get someone that they're like, I want an infinity symbol or a heart with a name in it. That's simple, but a lot of the work I do is more custom work. And so someone's like, I kind of want a Japanese thing, and and they're, and they're trying to explain what they're thinking of. And it's up to me as the artist to come up with a concept that they like. So it's similar, although it's different, it's the same thing. So it's just like I have, 20 years of providing the ability to make a client's ideas a reality. So I already know how to kind of do that. So August was like, sounds good, thank you. He was actually really happy.
Yeah.
And so we shot 2 weeks ago, and then we had a break for 1 weekend. And then last weekend, Friday and Saturday, we shot again. And we had to do a couple reshoots. And it's just been super interesting because August has been we work well together. He'll have the scene written out, and he'll be like, okay, we got this scene done. Okay, moving on. And he'll come over and say, hey, what do you think about this scene? And the way it's written, I have to kind of translate what he's wanting.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of know acting and how people act. And so, for example, one of the characters, played by Peyton, His character's Spacey, and he's really artistic, and he's lost his, his person, his partner, and you're not exactly sure what exactly happened, whether it was suicide or an overdose or what it was. But
let's not spoil all of it.
yeah. But he definitely is in a place where he's grieving, and so there was a scene where he finds some pills, and he asks Pearl, who's playing Tommy, what is this? What kind of pills are these? And she's like, oh, they're sedatives. And he's like, huh. So initially he would go and pick up his cereal that's sitting on the table, and then get into position. She's already on the couch, and then put the pills down on the table and then sit down. And we did it a couple times. And I was like, no, that's not it. I'm like, it would be, because I'm like, you're kind of, in my lifetime, I've met people who have been, there's not much wasted movement. They almost move like, someone who does ballet. It's very smooth, and I am just, as an artist, the way my brain works, sometimes I'll have 3 things that I need to do, or take 3 things from, let's stop throwing the ball. Take 3 things from one room to the next, and I'll grab one, and I'll walk into the next room, and I'll be like, oh, wait. And then I'll go grab the other thing, and I'll come, oh, shit. So, so I was like, well, I think he should just come in, sit down, and actually lean back and relax. And then he realizes he has the pills again, so he leans forward and puts them down. And then he leans back again. And then he's like, oh, wait. And then he grabs his cereal. And it worked out really good. And there was another scene, which we're gonna put a clip to this scene on our YouTube video version of our podcast. But the scene was, there's a mess on his table, just all this art and crap, and and Tommy kind of is looking down, and actually it's shot from a low shot, so the camera's angled up, and she just looks down, and she's kind of got this disgusted look, and she goes, okay, you really need to clean this place up. And he just doesn't look at her. He just continues to eat his cereal. And we did that one a couple times. And I said, okay, hold on. And I said, you know what, Pearl, look disgusted, and then look at him, and then look down again, and then say your line. And then once she delivers her line, Peyton, you kind of have a little smirk and kind of look over at her, and then look back, and then continue to eat. And it turned out perfect. We're gonna post that, because I actually caught it on my camera.
Well, that's if I could find the damn clip, because there's so many of them.
No, I mean I have it on my phone.
Oh, you have it on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I have all this footage on a fucking G drive that you got recently.
No, it's and it's funny because so the camera was set up, and August, the director, was to the right, and he filmed it, and I was over to the left, and I filmed it, but we're both filming with our iPhones, basically.
Yeah.
And so the actual the scene that was caught with the actual camera, the cinema camera, is perfect, So, but our versions are okay, but again, they're iPhones. But it really made the scene, and it really has been such an enjoyable experience putting this together. And it is, like I was saying earlier, I'm like, it's exhausting. You would think that it's not. You would think, there's a lot of waiting around and action, and then you're just standing there and the actors are acting. But a lot of times we're like filming from like noon, or the call time when you show up is maybe noon, and we might end at 10 o'clock, and it's just some of the days I would come home and crash out, And just the next day, I'm like, God, I feel like I worked out almost. Although I wasn't lifting anything heavy, you know, I wasn't really doing anything like that, but it really kind of takes it out of you. But it's been a really, really fun experience. I'm really excited to see, well, one, to wrap the production so we can move on to post-production.
Yeah.
And get that done. But we you know, we have plans to premiere it when it's all done. Going to rent a theater and sell some tickets and invite people. I'm going to get a limousine because I've never been in a limousine. I've never had a reason to be in a limousine, but I'm like, well, I should get a limousine to show up. I'm the producer and cinematographer. You know? That would be fun. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be, from all the work that we're putting into it and the images that we've been able to capture, I think it's going to be something special. It's going to be maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's a short film,
but it's going to be, I believe it's going to be a good representation of what we're trying to make.
Yeah, I'm more just curious to see the production, post-production side of things, because I've never edited a short film before, but I've done enough editing on my own shit that I know I can do it.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like there's kind of that intimidation factor where it's like you want to make sure it's so tightly edited and like there's no mistakes, and you just want it to be as good as humanly possible. Not perfect necessarily. There's always going to be imperfections, but
well, even on the big Hollywood productions, and normally it's just a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
But it'll slip through.
Yeah.
And then it's when people sit down and they really start doing a deep dive into the actual movie, they start catching little things.
Yeah.
Like there was one, it was one of the Lord of the Rings movies where the riders of Rohan show up.
Yeah.
And the scene where the main guy is on his horse, you know, and they're surrounding, you know, the elf and the man and the, what was it? Elf, man, whatever. As he gets off of the horse,
Yep.
you literally see his sword slide out of his scabbard. It's like, you know, a sword's supposed to be, you know, tipped down.
Yeah.
And it was literally tip up, and you see it as he's getting off. It slides out, but it's just there for a second. And, you know, whatever. These things happen, you know. And they're little Easter eggs, I guess, to find, you know. But anyways, I wanted to move on because we're not going to do a super long one.
Yeah, we're just going to keep it light for this podcast.
One of the things that was interesting about working on this production so far is that I have a lot of young people, and, you know, I get into conversations with them about the things, because a couple of the actors are actors. They have acted. They've been, you know, Peyton. They wanted to do this TikTok where it's kind of like to this song and there's little dancing, and he's like, I'm not doing it. It's in my contract. I don't have to do TikToks, you know, this and that. And then all of a sudden he decides to do it, and he goes full bore. And then August is like, oh, you were talking about how you didn't want to do it. Da 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 da. He's like, I was in a musical before, you know. So, but yeah, so a couple of the people have experience, and some of them don't, but they wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I get into a conversation about what you know, like what movie or what was it that initially drew you to acting, or what was it, you know, that even with this project, when you heard about it, you're like, yeah, I'd like to do that, because obviously you have to have a love of film,
Yeah.
you know, to want to do a project like this. So it got me to thinking about what was it about, like, movies, what kind of movies initially really grabbed my attention as a young kid, where I was like, oh, I love movies, you know. They're great storytelling vehicles. And one of my first ones, I think I was 5 years old, and my dad put this little, I mean, I'm a little short guy. I'm, you know, 3 feet tall, maybe less.
Yeah.
And he put this little 13-inch black and white TV on my dresser. And I was so short that when it was sitting on the dresser, I was basically looking right at the television. But I turned it on, and what came up was Flash Gordon from the 50s. And the first thing I saw was like, a moonscape, and then there's this rocket ship with a sparkler sticking out the back and hanging off of two little wires that you can see. And it's across and I was entranced. And so that was the first thing I can really remember where I was like, whoa, that is so cool. And then, because I was probably around 5, 6 when Jaws came out, and my parents went to see it once, and that was, I want to say Jaws was the first what they call a blockbuster, because literally there were lines going around the block.
Yeah, it was huge.
And so they wanted to see it again. And as I remember, I want to say we went to see it at a drive-in, which are almost now totally extinct. But there was the scene where they find this fisherman's boat kind of halfway sunk, and Hooper dives in and finds that tooth, and then all of a sudden the head pops out, missing an eyeball. And it was a scary scene. I remember my mom covered my eyes, but she didn't really do it good enough. So I could see with one eye, I got to see the head pop out. But that one, and then Star Wars,
golly,
were the ones though that really just, I thought it was such an amazing way of telling a story visually that got me into it. What was some of yours? Can you think of things?
Well, as far as film goes, like just straight up film, one movie I can think of that like is inspiring, like in just terms of, yeah, even if you don't have billions of dollars to make a high budget film, you can do it. Evil Dead. Like that movie, the first one, not necessarily the second one, but although both great films. In fact, I actually rewatched the whole trilogy recently, and yeah, I even have the first Evil Dead movie on the DVD rack over there.
Dude, they just as an aside, I saw, because it was like high quality footage, Evil Dead game for PS5.
Oh yeah, I know about that.
And I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, they made I think it was the Dead by Daylight devs made a game based off of Evil Dead. It looks fine. It looks fun if you have friends, but yeah, it's in a way it's kind of cool to see how relevant Evil Dead is today. But yeah, the reason Evil Dead is kind of one of those films that are very inspiring, because if you watch the first Evil Dead, very low budget. Very low budget. Like literally, it was a few guys and some friends, including Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Like Sam Raimi. What was the other brother? Tim Raimi or whatever. Him and his brother. Sam and his brother, and then Bruce Campbell and a few other people. That I think they were in college together. And it's like, and in fact, Bruce Campbell did a really good commentary on the first Evil Dead, and you should listen to it, like, because he just describes a lot of the shit they had to do just to get the effects that they wanted. You would have people hanging upside down from the rafters. You had the fucking shaky cam where the Kandarian demons, that thing, like
they're running through.
Literally, they didn't have like an action cam setup. They couldn't afford it, so they just took their camera, put it on like 4 planks of wood, and made some handles on it, and just had 2 guys running through the forest.
Yeah.
And shaking it. Yeah, they called it the shaky cam or whatever, or the spook cam or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And just, yeah, it's kind of cool, because it's like when you know how little the budget was, and the fact that they managed to, at least for the time, even though it doesn't look as impressive today, although I would say that's bullshit, because even though it looks low budget, it's still kind of impressive that it was just a few friends that just made a film in the woods. Yeah. And it's still pretty good. Although if I had to pick which was the better film, I would say Evil Dead 2 was better, obviously.
Yeah. They actually they got a budget out of doing the first one.
Yeah. And the story surrounding Evil Dead is kind of interesting. In fact, it's kind of funny because I remember Evil Dead 2. This is more of an aside, like because it was kind of weird where it was like this kind of requel, where it was like they kind of
they almost did the same.
They
movie.
remade the intro of what happened in the first film. In fact, I didn't know this, but the reason why they had to remake what happened, was because Sam Raimi didn't even have the rights to the first one.
Oh wow!
Because I think what happened was, because I think he did get some funding on Evil Dead 1, but it was super small. But then he did that film; it did fucking well. But
whoever put up the money was like, "I'm holding the rights to this,"
or something,
Probably.
or it was like, I don't remember the exact story, but it was like he tried to get funding to make, or I think from the same guys, to make Evil Dead 2, and his intent was to make it a sequel. And where it's supposed to start in that film, the moment where Ash comes out of the fucking cabin, he's like, he sees the sun coming up, and you know, where in the first movie you have that last scene where the fucking demons go, you know, from the first person point of view, is just going through the fucking, smashing down the doors of the cabin, goes through, and just you see that extreme close up on Ash. And then in the second film, that's where they do the exact same thing, and what happens is Ash gets like taken in the air, you know, rotating all that shit, and just he gets possessed. That's supposed to be where the movie should have started, but because he didn't necessarily have the rights, or just couldn't, I don't know what the deal is, but he had to redo it, in order to be able to get the funding for it, or something like that.
Okay.
So even just knowing stuff like that, it's like, it's interesting, interesting stuff.
And so, kids, if you have not seen Evil Dead, go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it.
Incredible.
I'm
movie.
not even talking about the that 2015 remake or whatever. Whenever that came out. The original one.
Well, that was I like those kind of. First of all, I like practical effects. I'm not a big, CGI guy. And actually, one of the effects that we did, which was interesting, because I've always seen the science project, the single slit, where you take a light source and you shoot light through a slit, and then it creates multiple slits. And so we wanted to simulate blinds, not the kind that go across, but they go down, right? And so what someone came up with was a little, RGB light, which is about the size of a cell phone, maybe a little bit bigger. And then they took a cardboard box and they covered the inside with black gaffer tape, it's not shiny.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks up the light. And then there was a slit in the box, and they put it all together, and they showed me, they like turned it on and kind of pointed out the wall, and you see these lines like blinds, and they just kind of move them around a little bit. And I was like, whoa, that is so cool. It's just interesting how sometimes when you're shooting a film, you what you kind of come up with, just to, whether it's like I watched an interview with someone, a director or cinematographer, and I can't remember the movie, but the person that's interviewing them is going through some shots and asking, like, what kind of lighting were you using? What were you doing? And the guy's like, well, actually, we needed to light it a certain way, and we didn't have access to this or that in the moment. So I just had someone go down to Home Depot and get some, they're like the metal round lights with a bulb in it. He's like, and that's how we got some of those, the lighting for those shots. They were $10 lights, And when it comes to film, man, stuff's expensive. Like Ari is a company that produces not only cameras but lighting systems. And so sometimes when you're watching a movie and you have like bright sunshine coming through a window and stuff like that, that's not the sun, it's a light. And some of those lights are like $20,000.
Yeah,
really so expensive. So But anyways, I think with that, we're going to just go ahead and shut it down. We got some good stuff coming up. Again, we've had so much going on that, we had to just take a little break and get done what we needed to get done.
Yeah.
But we are definitely going to be coming back and giving you some more content, some more stories, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Good topics to talk about. And we've missed you. We've missed doing this. It's always so fun.
Yeah. Sorry for the long hiatus. But, but yeah, we're going to get back in the swing of things. Of course, there's going to be probably some time by the time I have to produce that or do the post-production of that film. There might be some time
where we don't
do it, because I'm gonna have to be so focused on that. But yeah, we're gonna try to keep to our schedule that we promised, the every other week.
Yeah,
and get some podcasts published again, because it's been so long.
Yeah.
So, but anyways,
it's like forever. But
yeah, no, it feels like it's been forever, but it's not. Anyways, that's been episode 21 of the Crooke and Candle podcast. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate all of you. And as always, have a nice day, night, whatever makes you happy. And you guys take care.
Peace.
Peace.